Hi, this is Lenore Moore. I'm here going through a property. So we're looking for our investors and we're also looking possibly for ourselves as an investment opportunity. Now, this is an area of South Florida called El Cid. El Cid is a historic district. Years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, which is not a long time ago, the properties around here were much less expensive, almost 4 times less expensive. This is a typical house that was not renovated. So I want to take you on a quick walkthrough because then we're going to go see the neighborhood, right? We're going to take a walk through the neighborhood, but let me show you what I look at when I look at a property. So first of all, we've got hardwood floors right here. Now, hardwood floors were great back in the day, right? But a lot of people now are going to the click and lock vinyl. If you redo hardwood floors, it's very expensive. It all depends on your strategy for what you want to do with the rental. And you want to know if your investor is somebody who's looking for cash flow, a cash on cash return, which we've talked about, or also somebody who's looking to have an equity play. In this area, this is strictly equity. This is not about cash flow, because cash flow means you'd have to be making a lot more money from the rental income than you are paying for your expenses. So expenses include the mortgage, utilities, taxes, and insurance, which are a little bit higher here in South Florida. So it's important for you to understand what your investor is looking for as a realtor, as an investment realtor when you're working with your client. So in this area, I would say this is a high equity play and a lower cash flow. If you can cash flow positive, that's fantastic. I've also identified that there's several different levels, right? There's the first buy where the area is starting to transition and it's starting to be renovated. And then the second level is sort of that next tier where the property value has increased. You can still buy at that level, and depending on your finishes, you can still make money. And then the third level is really when it kind of tops out and maxes out. And that's when your finishes and everything has to be really high end for an area like this. All right, let's take a quick walk. So I'm looking at the ceilings. Because these ceilings, I am going to actually add 1/4 inch drywall. I'm not even going to texture them. You can do an estimate from your guys of whether or not you can texture it or add 1/4 inch drywall in order to smooth everything out. The same with the walls. You can see this is a labor intensive project. So if you come through here, you've got a lot of light. I love light. I'm always looking for light. And you also have a really nice screened in porch area. You're literally steps away from the water at the intercoastal. So I'm coming through here and I'm thinking I would redo this. I would redo this patio. I would put some sort of maybe possible Mexican tile. Hi Amber, how you doing? I would put some sort of Mexican tile down here, and I'm just going to walk you through. There's 2 sets of double doors. So this is really cool, right? This is like a really unique property that you can really do a lot with and make it more of a high-end property. If you come over here with me, you can see the kitchen. The kitchen is very tiny. On the other end of this wall, and what I'm doing, is this a concrete wall? No, it knocks like some sort of plaster drywall. It's not concrete. So what I would do is open up this kitchen, because behind here is a giant closet and a laundry room. So I would open up this whole area and make it all the kitchen. That's how I would redesign this space. You also have an extra door here, which you don't need. So you don't need an extra door here for the kitchen. So, and you've got these really high ceilings, so you've got a lot to work with. You can see this is called wire molding. See right here on the wall where the electrical is? This is called wire molding. It's a really cheap and easy, effective way to run electricity outside of a wall that's a little bit older or a concrete wall. So when you actually renovate, you want to bury your electricity into that wall so you can have a nice finish. These are things that people look at. You also have a lot of curvatures. Now, it depends on your style. If you noticed in the other room, there was curved architecture also. If you want to keep that element, you can. A lot of times I'll square everything off and put some nice molding around everything so it makes it look more modern and updated. It's a very easy little fix. It's easy to do. So if you come over here, let me see, I'll just take you through here. And now there's a walkthrough where the bathroom's in the center and the bedroom's to my left, but I want you to take a look at the bathroom with me for a second. So even though there's a giant window in here, not every tenant, because this was always a rental, is opening up this window for airflow, even though this tenant has the window open. And then you've got an older tub. This whole layout of the bathroom is really well positioned. This whole layout of the bathroom is really well positioned for a renovation. So you've got an old sink. You can see the old tile. These were actually, we buy these tiles now to emulate this older 1920s style. But this is a great apartment to renovate. But again, this is not, you're not going to get the rental income. To get the rental income for, let's say, $1 million property, because this is a 2-unit, there's one below, one above. This could be a $3 or $4 million property, depending on the value of what's going on around the neighborhood. And we'll take a look around. You'll be able to see what it looks like in this neighborhood. So it might not work out. You might want to turn this around, turn it back into a big 1-story building or house for the next buyer, because that might be more value for you. So you have to weigh out those. You have to pencil everything out, make sure the numbers work for you or your investor to see what you want to go, what route you want to go. It's always about the numbers. What do I say? If the numbers work, buy it. But know your strategy: cash on cash return, cash flow, or an equity build, or all three. In this area in South Florida, there are still places. You just have to identify the certain neighborhood. Let's go look at El Cid and see what we find. We're actually coming through West Palm Beach. We're on Flagler Drive, which sits on the intercoastal. And these houses to my left here were the original house. That was an original house. These houses were very inexpensive. Just even several years ago, 5 years ago, they were much more expensive than they are now. They've jumped millions of dollars to be sitting here on the intercoastal. And if you can see up here, you can see that bridge going up in the distance next to the water. See the bridge?
Yeah.
That is the bridge, one of the bridges to Palm Beach Island. Palm Beach Island is to your right. So Palm Beach Island is where Trump lives. He's got Mar-a-Lago. That's a little bit more south of what we're looking at right now. Well, Palm Beach Island is extremely exclusive, high-end real estate. They protected the real estate by having a lot of building codes and making sure that the building codes preserve the land. You can't build too high. As you can see, there's a lot of shorter houses. And so by doing this, they really kept the value super high. And so since there's bridges that are required to get onto the island, it makes it very exclusive. So if there's ever an act of war or any type of problem going on, all they do is raise all the bridges, and only the people who live on the island are allowed to go on the island. So it's a way of protecting them, because you can only get there by bridge or waterway. So the way South Florida is, what we're looking at on the East Coast, is set up is you've got the mainland here, which is the West Palm Beach on my left-hand side, and then you've got the intercoastal, and then you have Palm Beach Island in this section. And the island's only about 4 blocks long, or 4 blocks wide, excuse me. It's a very long couple of miles, but it still has a beginning and an end. And Manalapan, I believe, is where the end of the island is. I'm not sure if there's a break or not. But there's South Palm Beach, and then there's the Manalapan Island. But if you look over here, there's a lot of buildings. Like this building is giant. That's just going up. This building is called the Bristol. Well, look at this building from the other side. The Bristol, when they commissioned it, when the developers requested this location, they said, oh, it's not going to fit into the marina. Or to the look, it's going to look very out of place. So when we look from the other side, you'll have to tell me what you see. This building right here, this kind of glass with the palm trees at the top, that was just finished literally 2 months ago. And they're refurbishing the old library right here. And so this is all brand new too. They just built a whole new section here. Then there's many apartment buildings. But it's kind of cool. You can see the bridges going down here. So that's the bridge over to Palm Beach Island. And then you'll see the small little boats here. Very small. the small little boats here. These are yachts that are privately owned, and this marina is very exclusive, and it's quite pricey.
And this is a governmental scientist building. I don't know.
This, I think, was a they're preserving it. I don't know the actual name of what it actually is, if it was a museum or a library or what. But that is, they refurbished that, and then they built new all around it. Like that building behind it's new. Up in front here, they just landscaped that, and that's all new. So it's definitely an area that what's been identified by BlackRock and other organizations is that the luxury South Florida market is here to stay, and they're actually betting on it continuing to rise in value. So any type of property that you have that's sitting on a waterway, such as the intercoastal or the ocean, you have a much, much higher land value, property value, and there's a huge amount of people still looking for this type of property. So when you have all of that combination coming together, it doesn't matter how much it costs or how much the taxes are or how much the hurricane insurance is, people will still buy it because they have a lot of disposable income and they want to live where they want to live. And there's exclusive clubs on the island that you can only get invited to if you know a member. So there's a creation here that's happened here on Palm Beach Island that is very special, and that's where we're going to go next. And so it's also home to the breakers. We'll drive by the breakers, and Mar-a-Lago, as I said, is down a little bit further. But that's about it. Let's see what it looks like.